You often talk about how pricing is different from valuation, and you talk about the role that narratives play, the role that storytelling plays when you talk about valuation. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Now, let's first take the contrast between pricing and value. Right? Pricing essentially is a very simple process. You decide how much to pay for something by looking at what other people are paying for similar things. So let's say you wanted to buy the Chennai Super Kings. Why? Because you're a billionaire. You want to have an IPL team as your trophy asset. You know how you're going to decide how much to pay for it? You're going to look at what somebody paid for another IPL team or maybe another professional sports franchise. And you say, hey, they paid $1 billion. I'll pay $1 billion as well. That's pricing. In pricing, you attach a number to an asset based on what other people are paying for similar assets. It's how we decide how much to pay for a house or an apartment. Pricing is intuitive. We all do it. Valuation, on the other hand, requires that you understand a business. So if you want to buy the Chennai Super Kings as a business, you got to understand how they make money, how much money they make from the stadiums, how much money they make from media, and essentially think about how much you will pay for the business you're buying. It's more work, but your assessment then drives your decision. Most people price things, they don't value them. They like to use the word value when in fact they're pricing things.
And how does the role of narratives come in?
I think a lot of people, when they think about valuing a company, think about inputs. What's my revenue growth? What are my margins? They think about numbers. But those numbers reflect a story you're telling about the company. Ultimately, what keeps those numbers held together, what keeps them consistent is the underlying story. So if you go back and look at my Zomato valuation, you can agree with it or disagree with it. It's not about what I'm using as revenue growth and margins that's giving me the value. It's my story of Zomato as a restaurant food delivery business that's going to feed off the growth of that business in an immense market like India. That's the story that's driving it. Now, you could tell a different story about Zomato. You might say, look, it's not a restaurant food delivery business. It is a grocery delivery business in addition. That changes the story. It changes your inputs. Will it make the value higher? Maybe it will, maybe it will not, but it's a different story. I tell people, look, when you build a spreadsheet, think about the underlying story you're telling, because even if you say, I have no story, your numbers convey a story, and you got to believe in that story.